today and tomorrow and the next day to come. That I ask for all these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Second. You got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Next in your packet is the approval of the minutes. I'll hear a motion. So moved. All right, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 All right, next we have our presentations. First is, I'll do one declaring retired educator duties, and Mr. Polk is going to help me with the second one, and he will be doing declaring Go Light Up Your Day, World Day. So, anybody here for retired educators?
Can't appear.
We got plugs out here. Do we? Yeah, we got great retired educator too, by the way. Do we have more?
I'll just sit right here.
Do you? Whereas more than 135,000 retired educators have devoted their time and talents to public education in our state, fostering the academic development of millions of outstanding citizens in the state. And whereas retired educators touched and influenced the lives of generations of young people, motivating and inspiring their students to use their talents and abilities to the fullest, promoting them to become responsible, contributing citizens. And whereas members of the Georgia Retired Educators Association have donated thousands of hours of volunteer service and make invaluable contributions to the prosperity of their respective communities across the state. And whereas it is appropriate that a day be designated for citizens to express their appreciation for the contributions that retired educators have made and continue to make for the betterment of our country. And whereas we commend each retired educator for their time and commitment to our community and join many local churches in recognizing those lasting contributions made. And now, therefore, I, Wes Ehlers, Vice Mayor of the City of Tifton, do hereby proclaim the day of November the 7th, 2021 as Retired Educators Day, and call upon the citizens of Tifton to join us in observing that day in honor of our retired educators. Given under my hand and seal of the City of Tifton on this 19th day of October, year of our Lord 2021, which today is the 18th, not the 19th, but just, hey, thank you. Join me up here. Okay. Whereas, as a nonprofit collaborative, the Tift County Commission on Children and Youth shares the Georgia Family Connections focus of improving the conditions for children, families, and communities by serving as the local decision-making body and bringing community partners together to develop, implement, and evaluate plans that address serious challenges facing Georgia's children and families. And whereas, by working closely with various community partners, Tift County Commission on Children and Youth is able to foster local relationships, increase policymakers' awareness of local issues, put into action proven practices, and leverage additional funding to support the community plan for Tift County. And whereas, having luminaries lit throughout the county at the same time with the same mission of joining together for our children's best interest while envisioning that anywhere you go in
ensure that children have a safe and caring environment is the vision of this community-wide event. And whereas, by working together with faith-based organizations and community agencies, clubs, businesses, and individuals on this specific day, Tift County Commission on Children and Youth strives to keep the youth of Tift County safe and out of gangs by offering alternative positive activities with hopes that throughout the year, and especially on this day, our community will provide encouraging, constructive programs for our youth that encourages involvement in positive activities. And now, therefore, Wes Ayers, Vice Mayor of the City of Tifton, on behalf of the City Council, does hereby proclaim October 20th, 2021 as Go Light Up Your World Day for the City of Tifton, and encourages fellow citizens to join all of us in working with the Tift County Commission on Children and Youth as we strive to provide the best community and environment for the children, youth, and families in Tift County. Given under his hand and seal in the City of Tifton this 18th day of October, 2021.
Thank y'all so much. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. These are items that we have discussed through our workshop beginning of the month. Pete, is there any sort of clarification you want to give to these, or?
Yes, I think so. The wording, we did get a few inquiries from employees today, and again, just for explanation purposes, the pay plan adjustments was for the police department, which you so choose to do. And then the cost of living, the COLA for certain employees, that is all the other employees minus the police department. So the police department, we had to look at the resolution and the language, and again, there was little confusion, so we want to make sure we specify that all employees will be getting the 3% raise minus the police department. So that's what this means tonight. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for supporting all of the employees of City of Tifton. That means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. With that, I will take a motion for to approve all or to approve them individually.
I move we approve all of them.
Got a first and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, going to new business. The resolution for approving resurfacing projects for FY22 local maintenance improvement grant, which is the LMIG money that we received. Pete.
Okay. Yeah, Council, Jeff is still here, so if you do have questions, we did make a change today in Councilman Folk's district, but other than that, everyone okay with us going forward with the streets that we presented last meeting. What happens now is we take these streets, we fill out our application for next year's LMIG, and we wait for approval. So this will accompany that if everyone is okay with that.
I just got a question. It ends up being, like right now, they're just now starting one, and the rest of ours from the 2021 money will be, by the end of the year. Does the state determine how quickly it's done, or is it a matter of if we get it in quicker, these can be paid earlier in the year, or what's that process?
Now, usually LMIG is all that at the same time, Jeff. I think it's in intervals, if I'm correct. Jeff, you want to help explain that, please?
Yes, sir. They pass out the money every year, or give the grant out every year, and we have to apply by January the 10th of next year. If we get it in earlier, they'll go ahead and send the money, and it just depends on when the money gets here. It will probably be sometime after January, and then we could go ahead and bid these once we've got their approval on it.
Can we go ahead and get this work done before next, fourth quarter of next year?
And I talked with Stacy the other day. We went out and marked some on Carpenter Road, and told him that first of the year we wanted to go ahead and get the package ready to bid out as quick as possible where we wouldn't be so far into it next year.
He's okay with that?
Yeah,
Is that,
he can
no
have
hold up?
it, he can have it ready in 30 days once I give him the okay to go ahead after we get the money, make sure we got all the funds.
Okay, because I was, you know the deal, we got a Carpenter Road. And the city was paving part, and the county was gonna pave part. The county paved theirs a month ago, or 6 weeks ago, which caused nothing but grief, because now, city part, and I wanted to be sure that we don't, just need to get sooner rather than later, if we can.
We tried to simultaneously do this with the county, because if you can have a paver here, it makes perfect sense to have pavers just do streets inside and outside, and we tried that. Stacy Watkins engineered both of our projects. Thank you. When the bids came in, the county low bid was another contractor. Ours was a different contractor, so it really.
Would it be possible that if we could submit, county submits their road projects, the city submits their road projects, and we bid all of the projects at one time instead of, is that what you're saying?
I don't think we can do it, I don't think we can mix it like that.
It's public works project specific, so each government will have to bid it out. We're just trying
Oh,
to do it.
I see, okay.
But we didn't expect what happened with the low bid on this one. We thought we would probably get the same contractor, but it didn't work out that way.
Right.
Hence, we are behind. The county's in full swing. They're paving their streets. Our contractor, Jeff, is working with them very closely. They have 90 days to finish this, and we're watching them every day.
My understanding, the equipment was over at ABAC. It was reported to me that the equipment there for Carpenter Road was there yesterday.
Okay,
So I'm hopeful they'll follow through with what, our discussion, that they'll go ahead and pave that this week.
yeah. Well, they've got a lot of milling and patching to do before they can pave, but that's the plan.
That was the commitment. We're
Okay.
going to hold it to them.
I think we're on track. I didn't walk right out there to see.
But to your point, this will go forward. When the application comes in, we'll go immediately for bid, and we'll try to expedite the process just as quick as we can.
Great.
Good deal.
All right, thank you.
I would just like to say, we appreciate ESG's looking in, they grade our street for us. So one of our citizens or whatever calls one of us, complaining about road conditions. We notify Pete. Pete puts it on a list, and then ESG goes out and grades it on a scale for us. And then the worst ones we try to bring immediate attention to. So, when people come and ask us or talk to us about the road, they don't. It's not falling on deaf ears. We really do listen to those examples or requests. We send them up the ladder, so to speak, and hopefully they get put on the list to get paid. There's just so many streets that we have to maintain that, obviously we wish we could pave everybody's road every year, but we can't. But, when I first got on council, it was literally throwing a dart on a map and saying, oh, we'll pave this road this time. And with the collaboration with ESG and the city of Tifton and this council, putting together that plan to be able to grade roads, has really done a fantastic job for our community. So hats off not only to you, Pete, but ESG for helping us with that. It's a big problem in a lot of communities that we go to these conferences and hear about road conditions, and they don't have a plan like we do. And it's fantastic to have that kind of workmanship and collaboration to get little things like that it can be seen with the eye done. So again, hats off to y'all for that.
Yep, thank you.
I move we approve that grant application.
Great. Okay, the Elmeg road list. All right, we got first, we got second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, next, review and recommend award for bidding the 2020 CDBG Youth Center project. Pete?
Okay. Thank you. Just as a recap, this was the Community Development Block Grant that the city received $750,000. We received bids on August 31st of this year. All the bids came back overbid considerably. We opted to work with the low bidder. We did have a meeting with him, talked about doing value engineering, meaning what items could be lowered to get the cost down. His bid came in at $1,345,000. it was far out of sight for the budget of just over $750,000. So we did work with the architect and the contractor. He did come back and lowered the amount $200,000. So that was a good effort. It does not affect the aesthetics of the youth center, the way it was drawn, the way the URA board put this together. So that was a positive. So now the construction base bid is coming in at $1,154,044. If you add architect fees and grant admin on top of that, the total project is $1,270,840. Still a pretty good amount over budget. If you minus the $750 that we did get for the CDBG, the total city contribution is $520,840. I did not see that coming. Obviously, the market and what's being, everyone's experience with costs and how we're looking at figures today when you're talking about building something. This was discussed at the URA meeting this past week. We did explain this, and everyone understands. And realistically, with what the city was going to put in initially, just for paving and concrete, that was $123,000. So we're still looking at just about $400,000 of city contribution of our money. It's still, so in the packet, I did put two options. One being looking at scaling back the building and trying to decrease the overall budget some more, or move forward with the construction and the revised engineering to lower costs while everything is still intact aesthetically with the building. Again, it is something that needs to be strongly considered. I don't know if we'll get the bang for the buck if we put it out to bid or we scale back the building. I think everyone is along those lines. But then again, it is a lot of money that you need to consider if we do this. If you want to move forward, I do have the funding available, and that'll be something that obviously will make the investment in the community as we set off to do initially. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Yeah, I think we need to move forward. The investment is needed. I don't think no sense to go back and rebid. It is a lot of money. That being said, I think we've got to, or at least I'd like to see from URA board how we go forward once this building's built. An empty building is of no value. I'd like to see, what's the plan for what kind of program? How is that going to be funded? This can't be continuous of, coming for the city and for all the funding. I want good, solid programs to take advantage of what's going to be a beautiful building. And I'd hate to spend $1.5 million and go in, and the next thing you know, well, there's no programming. So we've got the time, but I think it's incumbent on that URA board to come back to the city, because we're putting $400,000 of taxpayers' money in addition to other. Say, here's what we got lined out. Here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to utilize this building. Then everybody wins.
Yeah, understand.
I'm with Jack here. I think we need to move forward with what we have. This is a big staple for the community. And as far as scaling back, I think I don't want to cut the community short either. This is a long time coming, and we need something that looks good and it can hold up for the community. I don't want to cut them short. And also, I am with you, Jack. I am on that board, and we do have a good, sturdy board, and we've been looking at different collaboratives with other community partners to try to keep these things and the actual facility up and running and going. So they do have a finance team and different people that are working hard to try to get those different programming and different things to continue on going in there, at a steady pace, And so it's still going to probably need a lot of community help and some city help to keep these things going, but that board is committed to seeing it through. So
somewhere along, I'd like to see some ongoing of where are we in the process. Right. I don't want to have up there cutting the ribbon for the new building, and it's like, okay, well, we're not ready on day one to do the program.
Right.
You know, so, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
that's-
think that, there's not a single person on this council that wants to scale this project back in any form or fashion. $400,000, that's a lot of money. Can you kind of go a little bit deeper into pools of money that we could possibly pull this from? Kind of give council a better idea, give me a better idea. I mean, it's always easy to say, yeah, we'll just go ahead and put 400,000 on the table and you get it done, but if we don't have that money readily available, you know, I
Right.
think it puts us in a precarious situation. You know, and I don't want to sit here and promise anybody anything if we can't live up to it. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be honest for a second. So,
That's right. So, to answer that question, SPOS 5, we have already committed for the paving and the concrete. So the driveway, the sidewalks, the city, they committed picking up the tab. So that would be SPOS 5.
Okay.
We do have available money for that. That's $123,000. And then SPOS 6 would be the $397,840 with probably 10-15% contingency to say that we're going to pick up the rest of the tab on that. So SPOS 6, you really used a lot of discretion when we talked about SPOS 6, and if you remember, there was two line items. One that was, it's called city buildings, that was $1.2 million, and then demolition and acquisition of buildings of $750,000. So that was smart planning on your part, and I think to answer your question, we're just ready to close on the Captain's Point mobile home park, the 7 acres of where 9 Oaks is going to go.
Yeah.
And part of that deal, when we structured that, we said, look, we're not giving this land away. We paid for it, and one part of the project is that you're going to buy it back from us. So we're set to close hopefully very soon, and in turn we'll be receiving monies back for that purchase. So all in all, I think we can handle it financially, but again, it's just going to put other things in strong consideration as far as how much we're going to do projects like Commerce Way. That's got to come out of SPOS too. The main alley, that's coming out of SPOS just the same. So we've been very aggressive with a lot of projects, but that's what the money's for, and we're going to use it to the betterment of the community. So I've got it covered financially. It's just it's something that we did not foresee.
And this is, I'm so glad to hear that, because it's the perfect time, perfect example of why it's important that we always pass a SPOS. It's the renewal of that penny, and look at the things that you're able to do with that. We're putting money in some buildings and things of that nature and updating it. So, you know, I would love to see somewhere, and it doesn't have to be, you know, stuck to something, but something that says, hey, this building was built with SPOS funds, simply because we can say, hey, listen, it does matter. Look at what we're able to do with this money, and we're able to do it, and it actually make a huge difference in the community as a whole. So, you know, when we're going to that ballot in SPOS 6 or 7, whatever's next, 7, I guess, one day down the road, that ever comes up, just remember, hey, listen, this money is used effectively and efficiently, and for the betterment of our community. So, you know, appreciate that, because that was a big concern that I have, because I don't want to sit here and, I mean, there's several things that I've always want, but I can't afford it, right? So I just didn't want to sit here and promise something to somebody at all and not be able to come with the appropriate funding, but it sounds like we have that under control. So with that, I'd love to hear.
Yes, quick question, what's the expected completion? How long?
Well, part of this value engineering, we went from a metal prefabbed building shell to now a wood, almost like a structure built. So it was 8 months, but now he's talking probably 6-7 months of build time. So I just made a note, I think you brought up a good point, is that we're going to have to really get aggressive with the URA board and our programming, because now if we have a condensed timeline of that when that's going to be open, then we've got to have programming set now that's going to accelerate it. By the time the kids get out of school in May, this thing needs to be ready for summer feedings and for programs, so we have to hustle.
Jason Jones, but would it be possible for you to suggest somebody from that board, you know, come to us once a month and say where we are? I mean, I just don't want to be a surprise to everybody that something's not going. No, you know, not that they wouldn't, but we just need to keep our an eye on it, so that, ultimately, we're held responsible for what happens.
Yeah, I can, talk to the board on our next meeting or get hold to, our president and see, if we can have a spokesperson once a month to
Some kind of update.
keep update.
Of where, you know,
Okay. All right, good, thank you.
Sounds great.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yep, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of awarding a bid for the FY 2020 CDBG Youth Center project.
I'll second.
We got a motion in a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. This is easy, man. Why is it unanimous?
Well, you forget.
This mayor thing ain't that hard after all. You know? Oh, we got one more. Never mind. Hold on. I thought it was over. No, we got one more. I was like, go ahead, screw. Put mine over in the middle right there. All right, so we got one more. Resolution approving the sale of the 5.743 acres located on Old Omega Road to South Tipton Development LP for development of affordable housing and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents. Rob.
All right, this is basically to close the deal on the Nine Oaks property. As you know, you signed the contract back over a year ago, to sell the property. So this basically is just a resolution that's going to authorize Pete to execute all the closing documents, the deeds, seller's affidavit, etc. So we're looking at possibly middle of the week to go ahead and get that property closed. So this is just a resolution authorizing to execute the closing documents.
Perfect. With that, I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That passes. All right. Other business, board report? Yes. Next.
Yeah, so Emily probably doesn't, she's not up to speed on this, but the board report, you could show you see the vacancies under P and Z. We did have applicants submit their names and information. Again, Jarrett Haswell, Rosemary Hightower, Paul Robertson, and Frank Sales. So all those applications are in your packet, and obviously if you want to approve those, we desperately need it. We have not had a quorum again this last meeting, so as soon as we could do that, the better.
We need three.
What do you need for a quorum right now?
Huh?
Three?
No, we got three vacancies. You gotta.
I'd say we need four, one as an alternative, because we could train he or she, and they could sit in and help. We'll take whatever we could get right
Well,
now.
Julie is very involved in board appointment. To me personally, if they need a quorum, let's do.
They have no quorum.
They have no quorum,
They have no
so they
quorum.
cannot meet and discuss things. So let's create at least a quorum for them, and then keep the other two vacant, and then allow for Julie's input or whatnot. But with that, I can't make a motion, I guess.
We've got, well, here's, probably gonna need more than one.
How many are out?
There's three vacancies, but one doesn't come, and then in addition, there's one that doesn't come very often, I understand. So, you only got one that kind of shows up.
I think there's two vacancies.
Two, but one's not seeking reappointment,
Right.
but I think he's the same thing as vacant.
That's right. Yes. Three, right?
I don't know why.
Peter, Julie Lester, and Julie Shaw. Peter resigned, but continued to serve as Julie Michelle's position.
And so who's the lady?
Oh, she resigned, so.
Julie Lester and Julie Sharp, and then there's Lamaris Taylor and Baldwin Nixon. Lamaris is sick.
Is she going to, what is her status? Is she gonna continue to try to serve?
She can, and I haven't asked her directly if she wants to come off the board, but she hasn't been to any meetings.
I don't know.
We got
an alternative, an alternate. We got five.
We have two. is Carter Shutt on planning and?
He's on.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah, look.
Right, so we really need four. And I don't know, she's not. The one that's sick, I don't know.
Well, if you make a motion, you said.
But I mean, she's not resigned, right?
Oh, that's fine, if that's what you want to do, we'll go from
I
there.
think we just need to fill the 3 vacancies.
Room full of people.
Is there a lot on the, is there a lot on the plate for them to
Yes.
really be discussing?
Yes, and right now, if you'll nominate 3, that'll get us right to a good quorum, and then we'll come back because we have a board member that is not medically well, and we just don't know what's going to happen with her, and we can come back.
Well, I
to
had
the
someone reach out to me about planning and zoning that was very interested. I think they would be a very good candidate, but I mean, that's why I didn't see their application in yet, so I mean, he just reached out to me this past weekend, so, but.
Well, I mean, what happens if we wait? I'm with you, but I don't like to do that, especially with the mayor not. I don't want
She
to,
may have already, you know.
and I haven't talked to her about it.
I haven't
Have you
either.
talked to the mayor about any of these appointments?
Not about
I,
P&Z.
she had said they need.
Right, so, I mean, I'm not very.
I agree.
So let's just postpone both board appointments for the time being.
Can you do a special call or something?
We're really stuck. We won't be able to have the next meeting if it should be
When is the
November
next
8th.
meeting scheduled?
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
So we can do a special call meeting.
Yeah, let's,
Well, not only that, but I mean, we could, so our next city council meeting will be before your planning and zoning meeting. We could just add a call meeting on behalf, you know, as the last time.
at the next workshop.
At the workshop. If that's.
Yeah, I'm with you, I'd hate to appoint the majority of a board, and the mayor's not here.
All right, I agree. And I haven't had, like I said, I've not had any conversation with her and, you know, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If you don't mind, sorry.
No,
The
go ahead.
only benefit to doing it sooner rather than later is there is a big item on the planning and zoning agenda for November 8th. So if we appoint them on November 1st, we've got like 5 days to get them up to speed on how the laws work for planning and zoning.
Well-
And then we're giving them a really big issue 5 days later.
I'll say this much, if we have to have a special call meeting period, I know that, the mayor will be back on Wednesday, so, you know, if we had to come through with something, that we could get this.
We can do something in the Thursday or Friday after she's back. Let's
That's
kind
fine.
of
Okay.
plan
Because,
for that.
yeah,
Does that
Paul-
work, Crystal? If we did something into this, of the week? Okay.
That'd be fine. All right. good
Paul
deal.
and Frank are, you know, they're ready to go, so they understand
Absolutely.
it.
And I'm not saying anything about anybody that's applied there, just we have not.
I know Paul Robertson and both Frank Sales, you know, they're pretty well knowledgeable about real estate and, you know, the workings, so I think that it won't be hard to get them up to speed.
Sure.
And I would like, and Jared Haswell's another one. Now, nothing at Rosemary Hightower, but she has listed about 8 different boards she'd like to be on. So if this doesn't work or whatever, we've got some that just want this board. We need to find a board that we
She
could,
just wants to be involved.
that we could, but she wants to be involved. She's got a lot of choices of where to go, so.
You know, filling the 3 vacancies, more than likely, you know, because of, you know, the illness of one of the board members, she, you know, usually can't, you know, you can't participate by teleconference unless you have a quorum present. So we might be looking at another.
Right, and that could be
Another-
the one that, you know, but
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get the application first.
Right.
and then-
this lady, we can find a place for Rosemary Hightower. She's got a lot of various.
All right, well, with that, we will move on to the city manager report.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Just a few things. I wanted to let you know that we were again recipients of the Health and Wellness Promotional Grant through GMA and through our risk management providers. This is a health and wellness activities, and it's also an increase from previous years and a result of many accomplishments of the Wellness Committee. And I want to congratulate and thank Emily for heading that effort up. This is your 3rd year in a row that we received this grant. We're doing phenomenal things for our employees, and this health and wellness grant is a way to do our outreach from lunches to clinics to just anything with health, and the board is very, very active. So this year we received $7,000 for that grant, so thank you for doing that. So I wanted to share that with you.
Good job.
Let's see. Chief Bennett let me know that we were notified that we are now we're having a ISO inspection very soon for the fire department, so he's working hard with that, hence all the communication for the hydrant flushings in the neighborhood. We apologize for any inconveniences or brown water, but this is the way we eliminate brown water, by opening the hydrants. This has not been done in years, something that absolutely has to happen. So the firemen on each shift are doing this, flushing this. This is a good thing for the lines, but again, we apologize for any inconvenience that it may cause.
Can I ask a question about the ISO? How often is that done? I thought it was not. It seems like it's been done.
Yeah, I don't know if the chief is still here. Well, you know, we too, and I think, is he here?
Yeah, every 5 years, but good Lord, it feels like we had one last year.
I know.
I thought we was all, beating our chests that we had two.
And everything's done is virtually now, so the chief is having to deal with someone that's asking questions, and we have to provide the records. But again, I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to the ISO now.
Are they doing the county fire department as well, or do you know?
Again, I asked the same question, and I don't think he knows yet. So that's even
they've been
more
riding the
frustrating.
coattails with the city ISO, and so that needs to come to an end.
That's even more strange that we don't know that.
Right. Okay, that's just a question. I was thinking that it wasn't every year, but it just seems like
Sure comes around all the time.
when we had to split, we knew we were going to have one then, and I could have swore I thought we had one last year because I was so happy that we got two rating again. And so
I know
now
he's working hard on that. He's working hard on it, and hopefully we'll know it gets deadlines. But again, we hold our breath this time of year because he has done a phenomenal job with the department, and it's going to be close. Our scoring is going to be very, very close this year.
So we have the utmost confidence in Chief Bennett. I'm sure we'll pull out another good rating.
Yep. Don't forget upcoming events, South Georgia Regional Annual Area Officials Appreciation Dinner next Tuesday. Again, we'll send the reminders out. And then this coming weekend, we have Tire Amnesty and E-Cycle event, October 22nd and 23rd, 8:30 to noon in Cato Night Parking Lot. So Crystal and her department will be heading that up. And I will, my last item is call on Larry Lawrence to give just a quick financial snapshot.
Sure.
Yeah, we have the first quarter enterprise funds statement for revenues and expenses. I'll hand them out.
Sir?
Before we start, in this budget for this year, we had a 5% rate increase for water and sewer that we didn't realize during this quarter that we're looking at, so that had a little bit of impact on that. On the first one, the water fund, the revenues were a little unfavorable due to that 5% rate increase not being realized yet. Revenues were $976,759, and the actual was $949,845 with the $26,000 unfavorable variance, which, like I say, was due to that rate increase we didn't realize. As far as the expenses were budgeted for the water fund at $976,759, and the expenses were way under budget at $566,769.45, with a favorable variance on expenses of $409,000. So overall, with the revenues against the expenses, we were favorable $383,000 there on the water fund. On the sewer fund, revenue was budgeted at $1,099,417, and we actually had $1,083,320, unfavorable by $16,000 there due to, like I say, from the 5% rate increase not being realized yet. And the expenses on the sewer fund were under also. We budgeted $1,099,417, $99,417, and the actual was $881,776, with favorable under budget on expenses of $217,000 on the sewer fund, netting out to a favorable variance on the sewer fund of $201,543. So that was a favorable operating there too. On the gas fund, the budgeted revenues was $1,076,638, and the actual was $922,969. It was under $153,668. On the expense side, the expenses were budgeted at $1,076,638, and the actual expenses was $695,183. So the expenses were under budget, $381,457. Netting out to the revenues and expenses, it was favorable, $227,789 for the quarter. And then on the solid waste fund, revenues were budgeted at $997,875, and we actually had revenue of $1,024,288, favorable $26,413. On the expense side, the expenses were budgeted at $997,875, and the actual expenses was $632,459. So the expenses were favorable under budgets, $365,415. And then netting the favorable revenue and the favorable expenses, we were favorable overall on the solid waste, $391,829. So all four enterprise funds were very favorable for the first quarter of this fiscal year. So, and hopefully that'll continue, because last year was very favorable, and with the rate increases hopefully coming up, it'll be even more favorable.
Favorable on the net, on the bottom line, I don't know why we want to raise rates. I mean,
Well, this picture's not, and Larry, again, is coming, he hasn't been through the whole year yet. This usually happens when the revenues and the expenses on the utility side shows an overage this time, first quarter, second quarter, and then we start ramping up for expenses that come around in the third and fourth. So it's just the opposite. Like general fund, he didn't want to present the general fund tonight because the general fund, we don't have the insurance premium tax yet. So the general fund looks like we're losing money, and it's very confusing. So it's just the opposite. Utilities show a big revenue, big expense. Revenue and not a big expense on the first, second, and they'll switch on the third and fourth. General fund, just the opposite. We'll go first quarter, second quarter until we get the insurance premium, and then it'll balance itself out. So the numbers, by the time we turn second, third quarter, will be much, much different. That's the reason for that.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilman's comment?
Yeah, that's all I have. Yes, sir. Yep, that's all I have.
Okay. Councilman's comment? Jack, you want to go first?
I don't really have anything to that. That's okay.
All right, Johnny, something about early voting?
Oh, wait, I do have something. LSU did beat Florida on Saturday. To offset what you said last meeting.
They beat us.
So I hate all you, Florida fans, but we quit.
Do you want to talk about the University of Georgia?
Not really. My money went to Georgia, my heart's with LSU.
John, you got, let's see, we got our early voting going on right now, don't you?
Yeah,
Yep.
not early voting. If you live in third district.
That's right, vote for Danny Terrell, that's right, that's what he says.
I'm in line. Good.
Good deal. MJ?
No comment. Thank you.
No comment? MJ was telling me earlier before we got here that the Rhythm and Ribs Festival was fantastic, and looked like a lot of people was attending or whatnot. We're looking forward to a larger event come March. He made a comment to do that. Unfortunately, I was watching the team in Athens beat a university that I love dearly. But anyway, we'll move on from that. But he's fantastic work again, ESG, city management, you guys, the police for you know, monitoring any crazies that are out there. You know, you put all that together, sometimes that can be, especially with Auburn, Georgia game going on that week, just a lot of going on. There's a lot of stuff going on right there. We appreciate everybody that contributed to the rhythm and ribs, and the event went off with a bang, as it always does. Personally, I'd like to also congratulate Tift County educator Mike Beeman on his 44th consecutive running of the Boston Marathon. Listen, I can't run a mile without going. I cannot imagine running a marathon, and I can't imagine running 44 of them at that. So, again, my hat's off to him, and congratulate him on that. I know that's something that he looks forward to every year, and he represents his family in our community very well when he runs stuff like that. I'm sure there's others in the past that have done that as well. So just wanted to congratulate him on his consecutive marathon streak, so to speak. And with that, I will call it a night.
Well done.
All right?
Good job.
Okay.
Close it out.